Markets closing in the red after their worst day in almost a month. Why? Well, that came after President Trump sent a number of trading partners letters this afternoon detailing new tariff rates they will face starting August 1st if they do not reach a trade agreement with the U.S. by Wednesday or by August 1st, or who knows, that could be extended as well. We'll wait and see. Trump threatening a 25% tariff on South Korea, Japan, and Malaysia, 30% on South Africa, 40% on Laos and Myanmar. Now, these letters are just the first of 14 that the president is expected to send today to trading partners. My panel is back with me. Catherine, I want to start with you as our resident Bloomberger here, so you must know all the things about all the things.
Some of the things.
What's fascinating about this is if you look at the rates that are in the letters, they're maybe like a percentage point to 3 at most away from the original April 2nd tariffs. So I read the letters and I thought, this is essentially just an official delay of the deadline. Am I not seeing something?
They are not that different. I mean, this whole process has been deadlines and delays and a lot of confusion. And I think that's been very hard for countries that have been trying to negotiate these deals because they don't really know what is the real deadline, what isn't. It's interesting, I think, because the president pretty effectively weaponized using a deadline with Congress to get his legislation passed. But it has turned out that deadlines with foreign leaders who have a lot of other concerns about trade and the world economy have not been quite as moved by these deadlines. So now it looks like it's being pushed. This was after weeks of them saying they were about to announce deals with major, both the president and top officials were saying deals were coming with major trading partners. We were going to see up to a dozen deals. We haven't seen those yet. There's been a couple of deals, some of which we still haven't seen sort of full details on. And we certainly haven't gotten 90 deals in 90 days.
I mean, that was an attack on Peter Navarro, and I will not, that will not stand. And I'm kidding, but that was what he said initially. The rest of the administration has not said that since, but what they have said, to your point, is every single week, to an advisor, multiple deals are coming. 2 deals are coming by Friday. 3 deals are coming by Saturday. Explain to me why this is working out in the president's favor.
I mean, look, one thing I guess it's working out in the president's favor is the sky has not fallen in terms of higher prices. And that may be the bottom line of this. I'm thinking back to when Walmart said it was going to have to raise prices because of tariffs. The White House and the president in particular pushed back very hard on that, obviously sending a message to other business leaders and business owners. Not that it hasn't caused great consternation and pain, particularly for some small businesses. There's no doubt about that. But there has not been this broad sweeping price hike, and the market is only negatively reacting right now today. But for the last several weeks, it's been gangbusters. So I guess in that respect, it's been in the president's favor. But in terms of this being some grand strategy, even though we haven't heard the 90 deals, 90 days since then, that has been kind of the anthem and the theme. And it's sort of unclear what has been happening these last 90 days, because at the end of the day here, the president is effectively flipping the script a little bit.
Yeah, an implicit point to Wall Street traders, like, guys, nothing has changed. I don't know why you're reacting now. This has been the kind of the state of play. Mark, you've often been very helpful to me and kind of being clear-eyed about where things are versus where people are acting like they may be. What is the end game here? Is it... And I ask this seriously because if you're President Trump, you're saying we just brought in $80 billion in tariff revenue over the course of the last several months. All these countries are coming to me and saying market access and non-tariff barriers. And what do they want?
Well, keep in mind, $80 billion is paid by Americans. It's not paid by foreign governments. They're the ones that pay the tariff. The reality is that July 19th was not accidental. They wanted to get past the tax bill. The trade agenda was interfering with what they want to do domestically. And the administration is riding high. They've had a couple really great weeks between attack on Iran, between a great jobs report, and as Jeff said, there has been no inflation. But they also haven't been talking about tariffs for the last couple of months. And now they're basically reigniting that conversation. So it's no surprise that markets are down. And the reality is that many of the tariffs he announced previously were delayed. So we haven't seen the full impact. And many of our greatest and biggest retailers pre-purchased inventory with anticipation of the tariffs. That's going to run out in the second half of this year. So you're going to see price increases. You're going to continue to see a chaotic trade agenda. And, whereas Peter Navarro has been locked in a cage somewhere, not allowed to speak to the media, he'll be resurfacing. And so you're going to see more confusion and more chaos in the coverage of what they're doing with tariffs. And you're going to see, I think, more chaos in the markets.
Putting Peter Navarro aside for a second, for Democrats right now who struggle with the broader issue of tariffs. President Biden kept a lot of the first-term tariffs on. Mark's point about the chaos kind of, when you start talking about this again, they have an issue again. Is that fair?
Yeah, exactly what he said. For the first time on national television, I agree with Mark Short. I think.
Not the first time.
Well, second.
It's not Scott Jennings.
Yeah, right. I think I agree with your point though. So the numbers are down because the arrow, for people who don't follow the stock market, who are just like, what is happening? When the arrows are red, it's when Trump talks about tariffs. When the arrows are green, it's when Trump does a delay. And that has been the theme over and over. And this administration rides high. A couple weeks ago, the market was up. But there were other issues that brought it up. I think we have always projected that prices will start to really increase after Labor Day. And we never expected there to be 90 days. And you asked, what are they doing? Probably nothing. The deals were smoke and mirrors, hocus pocus. We've yet to see the deals. The impact has not really taken effect. But Americans will feel this. This is just basic economics. Prices are going to go up if these tariffs stay in place.
I will note, Treasury Secretary said 48 hours, many deals. Catherine Lucy has never heard that before in this administration.
Look at the extensive work this president has put into cutting these good deals and doing what's right for the American worker. He is literally looking at the map and looking at every country on the planet and seeing where they are ripping off the American people.
Joining me now to discuss the latest on President Trump's tariffs, economic agenda, and much more is Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna of California. He represents Silicon Valley and is the vice chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. Congressman, thanks so much for your time. I think what's interesting in this moment, as we've seen, I think in the last 5 minutes, another half dozen letters have come out to various countries around the world, all of which the president is looking at on a map, according to the press secretary. What's interesting to me, what you just heard from the press secretary is an effective political message. When you were out in the campaign trail in 2024 or in past iterations, you heard that message resonate with voters. What did Democrats say to combat that?
What you heard is people wanted tariffs on China. They didn't want our steel going there. They felt China had taken a lot of our jobs when China became part of the World Trade Organization. But what makes little sense to many folks is why he's going after our allies, Japan and South Korea, and then cutting a deal with China. I mean, the reality is a lot of the jobs went to China. The reality is that China is threatening Taiwan, and that we should be allied with Europe, Japan, South Korea, and really being tough on China.
I'm always intrigued, when we've talked about it on the panel, I'm always intrigued by traders who have very clearly convinced themselves on Wall Street that he doesn't mean any of this, right? The 25% or the 40% or anything like that, whether July 9th or August 1st, it ain't happening. You agree with that?
Who knows? I mean, I think anyone who can tell you they can predict Donald Trump is probably naive. I certainly haven't been able to predict a lot of things over the last 10 years. And the reality is I would have never predicted that he's going to single out Japan and South Korea. Look, from George Bush on, there was a consensus in this country that we want to build an alliance with India, with Japan, with South Korea to contain China. And by the way, the bipartisan China committee in the House has been doing that work under Mike Gallagher's leadership and now under John Molinar's leadership. And so from a strategic perspective, I don't see how this serves American interests to flip it, where you're basically saying, okay, I'm going to go talk to Xi Jinping and cut a deal there, but be tough on our allies.
I want to ask you, you've weighed in before in the past on Elon Musk. I think whatever the current iteration of the divorce is, I think you told some before last month, quote, having Elon Musk speak out against the irrational tariff policy, against the deficit exploding Trump bill, and the anti-science and anti-immigrant agenda can help check Trump's unconstitutional administration. I look forward to Elon turning his fire against MAGA Republicans instead of Democrats in 2026. That was before Musk announced he was starting a new party right now. What's your sense of kind of what that party may be and whether or not you want to reach out to him and try and bring him into your fold?
Well, I think that it's going to be one that disagrees with a lot of what Trump's doing, as I pointed out in that quote. I mean, Elon does not support some of the draconian tariffs. He does not support the repeal of the renewable energy tax credits. He does not support the ban on international students. He was one of them. Now, Elon and I have very profound differences, so I don't think he's going to fit into the Democratic Party, but it's much better that we're now going to see his tweets with 200 million users pointing out the flaws with Donald Trump than what he did during the 2024 election, when he used his entire platform to hit Vice President Harris and Democratic candidates.
Congressman, stay with me. I want to bring in the panel on this and can all kind of go back and forth on this, because I think Jeff Zeleny, the congressman, makes a really interesting point of the wallet obviously being something we had never seen before at that scale from a single individual. How's the White House thinking about what that may mean going forward?
Look, I think the White House is wondering if Elon Musk is going to keep this up or sort of move on to other things. I mean, the idea of forming a third party is annoying to the president. We saw that he talked about that yesterday. It's not necessarily a political threat to him. Perhaps it's better for him to start a third party than to become engaged with the opponents to Republicans, like Democrats, or finding people who are actually concerned about the debt and deficit. But I think it makes them wonder if the separation actually between the president and Elon Musk continues, sort of what could come next. But I don't know that they give him that much thought anymore. I mean, the reality here is that Elon Musk was very helpful of getting the president elected. Would the president have got elected without him? Probably. Would it have been more difficult in Pennsylvania? Probably so. But I think going forward here, just the open wild card. Is Musk really going to be serious about this? Politics hasn't been good for his business. So there's a lot of skepticism, I think, about what the level of seriousness he actually is, if he's going to put his money where his mouth is, and what's the market for this third party.
Congressman, Jeff makes a really good point. This has been really bad for Tesla. And not just in the stock sense. I think when you talk to investors, when you talk to street participants, they're looking at the company and looking at the potential threats that the president's levying right now and saying this might not end anytime soon. Do you think that this has turned people from your district off about engaging at a high level in politics?
I think it's been sobering. Look, I said to Elon, you didn't take my advice, stick to cars and Mars. Politics is tough, and you're going to see your popularity decline very fast. But I think that we underestimate the role he played in Trump's election. Could Trump have won anyway? Possibly, but he used his entire platform, and he had all of these folks in the tech world who have a lot of sway with particularly young men go all in for Donald Trump. He gave a permission structure to a lot of business leaders, technology leaders, and he was really dedicated to Pennsylvania in particular. So I think the biggest loss here for Trump and the Republicans is just his no longer being on the bandwagon. They're not going to have his support, his platform, his money, his cultural influence in 26 or 28. And that is good news for the Democrats.
Congressman, I want to ask you about really the cornerstone of the president's economic agenda that he signed into law. When you talk to Democrats, they say I can write you a 200 bullet point list of all the things we can attack on within this legislation. That also makes it difficult for Democrats to coalesce around a single message that would be effective when it comes to going at the bill. How are you thinking about it going forward?
Is betraying the working class and the heartland of this country to give tax breaks to the billionaires in California. For all the rhetoric of the Republicans disliking California billionaires and the billionaires in Silicon Valley are going to do really well based on this bill. They're getting tax breaks. They're getting accelerated depreciation. You know who's getting hurt? A lot of Trump voters in rural America, with hospitals closing, with Medicaid being cut. And I think, as a lot of conservatives have pointed out, that this is actually a betrayal of his base. The Republicans haven't figured out that they actually did win a lot of working class voters. And my view is that's what's going to ultimately hurt them.
So you're not going with FMAP. That's good. It's good to identify. Ashley, I'd ask the same question for you. I know it can be frustrating sometimes in the Democratic kind of sphere of how lawmakers decide how to message and what to message on these issues where there are a lot of targets.
Costs. Costs are not going to go down. Costs are going to go up for your groceries, for your health care. And I would make it all about affordability, the cost of living. The Democrats tried to do that in 2024. They didn't do it successfully, there's an opportunity in 26 to make that be the narrative that would get some of those working class voters back, would re-solidify our base that we kind of hemorrhaged some folks or they just didn't show up. It's all about the economy and costs.
Congressman, I know you agree on that. I really appreciate your time, Congressman Ro Khanna. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, coming up, why the Justice Department is now saying, there's nothing to see here.